Good morning, afternoon, and evening, wherever you are, and welcome to another NerdTube Dragon Ball Daima review. We are on episode 7, entitled Color. I'm joined by my Z Fighter in arms, Major Rage. How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing great. Excited to talk about this week's entry.
Yeah, so let's just jump right into it. So today we start off on Kami's lookout, or Dende's lookout. No, he's Kami now, so it's still Kami's lookout. And Bulma is trying to figure out what's wrong with the ship. Still, apparently there is a element that is not available on Earth that it requires. And so, of course, we see the marital strife between Vegeta and Bulma, which is always a pleasure to see because you know they're truly married when they start arguing like this. Um, and then you got Kibito, Popo, and Piccolo just kind of awkwardly standing around going, glad I'm not married. So that's right. I said it. Anyway, Mage, what did you think of this opening sequence between mostly Bulma and Vegeta? But
Oh, I enjoyed it. I thought the humor was on point. Uh, like you said, you don't know they're actually married until there's the light bickering, and there's that in spades with the Vegeta and Bulma coupling.
that's
Just
right.
two firebrands together, and explosions happen.
That's right. Uh, so after that, Hybis shows up, and you know, which we know him. They don't know him, but we know him, and it's really cute because I noticed this when I first started watching. When like like Vegeta and Bulma are arguing, and then when Hybis's ship shows up and lands, Vegeta kind of steps in front
Steps
of
in.
Bulma. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, that's so cute. They were just arguing, and now Vegeta's like, you're I'm between you and my wife. You come at me, bro. So it was very cute, and I it was a very subtle thing, but I noticed it, and I thought it was very cute. So like he didn't even have to say anything. He didn't even have to say "get behind me" or something. Like he just the way he stepped and turned, I was like, oh, he loves his Bulma.
Oh yeah, shades of that famous line from Battle of Gods.
That's right. So Hybis is there. He's there to pick them up, which we kind of figured was going to happen. So kind of the other ship was more of a waste. I don't know if it'll come into play later on, maybe, but eh, whatever. I mean, we're finally going to get Jeets, Piccolo, and Bulma in the Demon Realms finally. So, um, yeah. Anything else to add about that opening sequence before we jump back over to the main party?
No, just that I'm glad they're finally getting there. It's about time we get them into the demon realm, experiencing it. I hope they don't keep on taking so long. It's finally I've caught up to where you and Danny Geekdom were as far as wanting it to get going.
Yeah,
So I hope that they don't take forever getting caught up. They're in the demon realm now, but
I
hope they catch up quickly.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind if we do the first fight without them, like with Goku. I just think we should have gotten to this fight, which, spoiler alert for the end of the episode, they finally reached Tamagami 3, and they're literally getting ready to start the fight in the next episode. Like, very Dragon Ball style, where like, that you get to you right when they're stanced up, and then, can Goku defeat Tamagami 3? Will the Z Fighters catch up with him? Find out next time on Dragon Ball Daima. Like that was waiting just for the narration to jump in
To
like all
kick in,
hardcore
yeah.
like it used to. So back to where we were. Uh so we skip back over to the party. Apparently Goku's eating these blue or purple fuzzball thingy looking things that really fill him up. And of course, one's supposed to be to fill you up. Goku has to eat two. Like
Of course.
so we get those shenanigans, and apparently the pansy catches out of the corner of her eye the Goma's soldiers are still patrolling, looking for them. Well, not really looking for them, I think, or maybe they were looking for them specifically, but they are looking for Goku still. And so of course they kind of quote unquote pull them over and tell them to land. Uh, Anything there you want to bring up? I think it was just kind of like a transitional point, where we're again getting stalled for time.
We're getting stalled for time by something we've seen before.
Yeah.
We've already had a similar situation. It feels redundant to me.
It really does. And that was kind of the point that I was trying to bring up is, I mean, I know that they're focusing on the collar of this episode. Obviously it's called collar. And we learn, oh, this is how they're tracking them is Pansy's collar. And I get it, but I'm just like, yeah, like this is really dragging on. That's why I'm really, the past 3 episodes I feel like could have been an episode and a half. I really feel like. Um so yeah, so of course the soldiers are telling them to land, or well they basically say follow us, we're going to come, so they escort them to a landing zone where they're inspecting vehicles. They're worried because if they find Goku on board, then they will all be wanted. And when they're wanted, they can't travel between the demon realms. So legitimate reason to be worried, yes. So they get there, they land, they're getting ready to be inspected, and then Shin's like, I got this, bruh. Even though it's not anything Shin, I thought Shin was going to cast some kind of like invisibility thing on him or something, but no, all it was when they went in there, apparently Goku locked onto Shin's ki and then instant transmission, which is the first time he's done that, I believe, since being in the demon realm, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so that's how he basically avoids, like, once Shin and them walk off the plane and they're kind of off to the side a bit, Goku uses instant transmission, teleports behind Shin, and they look at the ship and there's nobody there because Goku is hiding in a bush back behind them. Anything of note that you want to bring up about this part? I mean, again, you're kind of right. Like, this is kind of just retreaded waters a little bit, like we don't really get into the meat and potatoes of this episode until after the after the midpoint, the mid, what is it, the mid break or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so of course Pansy's freaking out because Goku's behind them now, and they're trying to keep her quiet. Goku hides in a bush, and we get the troopers talking back and forth, like, we probably knew we would. I thought we would have found him. Blah 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 blah. And Glorio's like, "Are we done here? Like, really, guys? Are we? Can we be done, please?"
He has the air about him of somebody who's dealt with cops a lot.
Yeah, right. So yeah, so a little bit more of that. They actually start to then not interrogate, but like start to apprehend Pansy, because they said that there was somebody in a village in an incident nearby that was, it's either her height or her size or her outfit or something like that, that was involved in that incident with Goku. And of course they're right. So they were going to take her in for questioning, and Shin and Glorio and Pansy took offense to that. So Pansy gets the taser out and tases one of them. Shin's like, fuck. All right, here we go. And we actually get to see some action from Shin today.
I liked that.
Mm-hmm. Me too. That was actually when that started, I actually sat up in my chair, because at this point I was pretty much like, this is stupid. Like, this is, why are we doing this, like, again, or anything? So, but we got some action from the Supreme Kai. So we haven't seen action from the Supreme Kai since the Majin Buu saga, early Majin Buu saga, right? Like, we haven't seen him fight at all.
Tournament part of that arc. So
yeah. So, and I don't hate Shin. I know some people don't like Shin, but I don't mind Shin. And I'm glad that they're giving him a little bit of shine here. But yeah, so, shenanigans ensue. Glorio and Shin fight and beat the crap out of some of the guards. Some of them get in their airplane and they come in, and of course they start firing. Goku jumps out of the bush and they hit the plane, so this is like the third plane that they've lost at this point.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I don't understand what maybe Toriyama, like when he was still with us and maybe producing this, he loves his automobiles and his
Mm-hmm.
vehicles.
He
You know, so
does.
maybe this was a Toriyama thing where he's like, no, well, maybe in this episode they can jump from this vehicle to this vehicle, blah blah, you know, and so it's like maybe that's why, because he's got that love for designing vehicles, and so probably that's why they're jumping vehicle to vehicle. Fair enough. We know that of Toriyama. That's nothing new. So you know, and so we get Shin, who uses some kind of force push to take care of, you know, force one of the vehicles into another, blows up, okay, and then Goku takes out the other one. And that's kind of our that's the first half of the episode right there, you know, like literally, like it's not super interesting, but not horrible either. So,
The
and
one redeeming aspect to me is that we got to see Shin shine a little bit.
mhm, agreed. I think that was the one thing where I was like, okay, like this is okay. Um, which is fine because you know, and I do like the fact that they didn't make Shin like kind of like this blubbering, you know, fighter. You know, like it kind of made him. He's very capable. He may not be as powerful as Goku and friends, but he's very capable fighter.
Yes,
So
and then moving on into Act Two of this episode, he starts redeeming himself for me from my previous opinion of him being the most useless character.
yeah, so yeah, second half is again their plane that was given to them by the king of the third demon realm was destroyed, of course. So now they're going to steal the trooper. I can never say their name. That's why I call them troopers. So if you, it's Gosamians, I think. I don't know.
Gendarmerie?
Yeah, I'm not even going to
Gen-
try. The troopers.
no, the
The
troopers.
the the troopers. So the troopers plane. So they start loading their stuff in there. Pansy's having an issue because she's like, look, they're going to keep tracking me because of my collar. And so Shin is like, well, let me see this collar really quick. So she shows it to them, and Shin's like, you know, oh, it's made of gachi, right? Gachi, like it's the same
Kachin.
kaichin. So it's the same material that Shin used on the Supreme Kai planet to test the strength, either Gohan strength or the strength of the Z sword when he was using it, and then it broke. But it's the godly metal, like, you know, or something like that, or maybe
Mm-hmm.
the metal of the Glen. So
Might be the element that ship was missing.
maybe, might be a nice way to like bring it right around back into, you know, full circle. So they're talking about, of course, the collar's unbreakable, blah blah blah. Shin's like, well, you want me to take it off? She's like, what? Yeah. You know, it's a very common glint, a very common glint element that they use, or metal that they use. There is he uses magic to take it off, and actually he reveals that anyone can do this spell. I think it was like pop Paka Pan or something like it is Pop Paka Pan or some kind of weird spell. Um, but yeah, so uh Pansy's free. Pansy does not have her, and I mean, if you think about it, like if you have like this collar on you this your whole life, and it is like this big, even though it doesn't weigh much, it's still this big weight on your shoulder, and then somebody just takes it off. Like you can imagine, like they actually really sold like how much of a relief this was in you know in this moment. I felt like it was a really good moment for Pansy as a character.
Agreed.
So anything else to add from here? I mean, I know, as I said, I've been kind of hitting it beat by beat, but if you want to.
Uh, no, I agree with you. They did a good job of showing her elation at finally having that metaphorical weight lifted.
Yep. Can you imagine when they start taking the collars off of the other ones? So it'd be crazy. So next, more character build for Shin. Um, is we get to find out his real name, his original name in the demon realm, which was, and I say this wrong, me and Mage were talking about Naharin, not Nahari.
Nahari.
Nahari, yeah. See, I don't do the tongue the tongue thing very well like you do. But yeah, so we now know that Supreme Kai has a demon realm name, which I don't know if that was given to him like after leaving the demon realm, or I'm sorry, not his name. I don't know if he gave up that name after leaving the demon realm to kind of leave that behind, or when he became the Supreme Kai, of Universe 7, how that worked. But I'm sure they'll tell us sometime. I think we've had enough info dumps for the past couple episodes.
Yeah,
So
I always interpreted it as I always thought he might have an actual given name, being since Shin is a title.
mm-hmm. Which I never really thought about. He was Shin. Like I well, wait, he's yeah, no. He's Kaio-sama. Shin Kaio-sama?
He's Kaioshin Sama.
Kaioshin-sama. So yeah, it is really just a part of his name. So you're right. Yeah. So I don't know. I just thought he was Shin. Like I just never really thought about, him being called anything else really. So it was interesting. Maybe it could have honestly been like a Red 13 thing, in Rebirth, trying to cross franchises here, where they get to the second demon realm and he gets back home and that's where they reveal his name. You know what I mean? Like
That might have flowed more organically and felt less like an info dump.
yeah, and
And
that's
more
kind of what I've been
show and
well, and that's what I've kind of been saying about the whole like demon, like some of the like we've been getting a lot of information on Shin's race and everything like that, like since the very beginning of the show. And some info is okay, but like I really feel like a lot of this info they've been giving us could have been given to us when they finally reached the second demon realm and we didn't need all these info dumps. I feel like half of these info dumps didn't need to be where they're at. You know what I mean? Like I like that I know his original name, but I really feel like that could have just been explained when they go home to the second demon realm and they meet up with the Glint. You know what I mean? Like I feel like half the information we've gotten about Shin and the Glint is, as I said, exposition where they could honestly rather show us rather than tell us when they get there. So so from there, now we are taking the plane and we're heading to the third Tamagami, sorry, and we go to a settlement that is literally right outside where the third Tamagami is. It's kind of like the little outpost right before you hit the boss fight, like where the save point is and the shopkeepers are where you can buy some items and stock up a little bit, before you're going to fight the boss.
hope they sell a cottage.
Oh yeah, they need to sell a cottage. So at this point, yeah. So I mean, they walk up to the Tamagami and are like, "Yes, we actually have a couple minutes left of this episode. We're probably going to see, a little bit of action. Like Goku kind of getting his first like warm ups in with Tamagami 3, and and whatever, and then he'll get serious. After those first couple minutes. Nope, Goku's got to eat and he's got to poop.
Oh Lord, goes back all the way to his original tournament debut, though. So at least it feels in character. It
It does, but here's the thing: is that for me, it's just like Dragon Ball Daima has the exact same problems that the original Dragon Ball had, and I'm not saying the original Dragon Ball was bad. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying there are definite but when a franchise has been around this long, when you're Toriyama and you've been doing this for this long, you figure he would have learned by now, but I guess not. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. I just feel like as I said, it's just they drag it out. He eats these little like chomper things from Mario, it looks like, on sticks, and then he runs to the bathroom, and then he's ready to go. We do get a little bit of exposition with the waiter. He's like, oh, somebody hasn't challenged the Tamagami in 20 years, and no one's ever beaten them, and blah 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 blah. So, and we all kind of figured that was what it was. Like, I mean, I don't know. This felt like a very pointless info dump again. So I don't know. Any thoughts on that?
No, it just the pacing. It feels redundant, but at the same time, I don't mind the way the episode ended. So I don't mind them taking up these couple of minutes.
Here's my thing. I would have skipped the whole pullover thing and whatever. I would have skipped that whole thing and just like put them at the beginning of the episode going to the city, and then doing all the, like, I don't mind kind of them exploring the town really quick and doing that, this, that, and the other before. I just think it should have happened in the first half of this episode. Okay. Then the second half of the episode is where Goku starts to fight, and I feel like, unfortunately, with the way the pacing is, I know you, like, as I said, it felt like a very classic Dragon Ball like ending, But at the same time, with the way they've been pacing this, it's like that's where it kind of needed to happen. And then the second half of the episode would be like, as I said, Goku warming up against Tamagami 3, like him kind of getting a feel for Tamagami, fighting in base form, because he's probably going to have to go Super Saiyan to fight him. And yeah, but no, they, of course, drag everything out this episode. And then the last scene is we get our typical Dragon Ball Z ending where they're about to fight. And now we're getting ready for, the big fight, finally. I think a little bit earlier we saw Vegeta, Piccolo, and Bulma arriving in the demon realm, and they were, of course, experiencing the new air, the new gravity, the new, all the things that Goku already went through. So I don't know. So they're there and they're trying to catch up, and Goku's going to fight Tamagami 3. So that's where we're at. Finally, this is where I wanted to be 2 episodes ago. I'm not going to lie. So hopefully from here on, it's going to be better. I don't know. Anything you want to add into any of that? I mean, I know I kind of blew through it, but I'm just like, man, I'm kind of done with
It was more of the same. I agree. And the saving grace is that it had that iconic style Dragon Ball ending. But I agree with your pitch for the layout of the episode. I feel like that could have been much more entertaining than what we ended up with.
So most notably, we haven't seen Goma in what, 2 episodes now, 3 episodes now. I know last episode we did see Shin's sister, but we really haven't seen Goma in a couple episodes, or Shin's brother, and I don't remember their names. So I know Mage knows them. I do not. So I'm going to call them Shin's brother and Shin's sister. But we haven't seen them. We saw the sister last episode talking to Glorio. So, and in the preview for next week, we are definitely going to see more of Goma and them again. And of course, Goku fighting the Tamagami 3. So overall, Mage, what are your thoughts? I mean, just overall, I know we've kind of already hit on it, but let's put a nice little bow on top of this.
It would be a serviceable episode if it wasn't so much retreaded water. It almost feels like a horse that's been beaten after it's dead.
That poor horse.
That poor horse indeed. I mean, am I mad? No, I got more Dragon Ball, but at the same time, it could have been better Dragon Ball.
And I mean, as I said, we're not complaining. Like, we're not saying, oh, this show's garbage. Like, we're Dragon Ball fans. We are used to pacing issues, with any Dragon Ball. You know what I mean? Like, we are very used to pacing issues. So we are going to complain about it, but we are also very aware of what Dragon Ball means when it comes to pacing. You either get super fast pacing or super slow pacing. It is hardly ever well paced in Dragon Ball, ever. I think the Cell Saga might have had some of the best pacing in Dragon Ball history. You know what I mean? Like, correct me if I'm wrong. The Buu Saga seemed like it was stretched out a lot. The Namek Saga felt like it was a bit, like it was okay pacing, like when Krillin and Gohan and Bulma and Vegeta were doing their thing. But then once the Goku got there and the fight started with Goku and Frieza, then it just like went to the pacing went to a screeching halt. Saiyan Saga was also pretty good. I'll give that one credit. That the pacing in the Saiyan Saga was pretty good as well. But like I just feel like Dragon Ball's always got this weird pacing issue.
It's always all out or tortoise speed. So yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
But
what do you want to give this episode? Let's mark it.
I came in here wanting to give it a 7, a passing score of a 7, but I'm going to knock it to a 6 because of so much retread.
I will also agree, and I actually was coming in with a 6, and the more I talked about it, I think I'm going to give it a 5, just because, and the same reasons you are. You're being more generous than I am, which is fine. But yeah, I've just had these issues with it. Hopefully next week we will finally get some and I'm not even talking action. I'm just talking like progression in the main story. So that's what I've been clamoring for. So I'm hoping that these last couple episodes that have been a really big drag and lull are now finally going to give us the storytelling the progression in the story that we've been looking for. Or at least I've been looking for. I know you've been a little bit more forgiving of it than I have, and that's okay. You're allowed to. So not very great this week for us in Daima. Again, we're not saying it's shit. We're not saying it's worse than GT. That it's got a long way to go to prove that. So, artwork, as we've always said, artwork has been fantastic this entire series so far. So there's no doubt about that. I always want to mention the fantastic artwork and choreography because it's there. Like all the great choreography and artwork is always there. The Toriyama gags are always there, which is always fun. So there's definitely a lot redeeming right now with this series. But again, it's the pacing and the lack of progression in the story. So yeah. So with all that being said, Mage, ready to sign out here?
Yes, sir. We can do it.
All right. So with all that being said, everybody, thank you very much for joining us here today. If you haven't already, please like, share, and subscribe to NerdTube, the greatest YouTube channel you kind of maybe sort of heard of. We'll catch you in the next one. Bye-bye.